unleashing the power of free GPTs for faculty, students, and staff. So we're going to dive into this a little bit today, but first we want to say hi from your TBR AI Learning Collaborative. I'm Sarah Hazelton, and with me today are Jamie Nelson, who's running our slide, who is the ringleader of our group, and we've got Pari Bhatt and Aaron Hughes. And we're really excited to be here today, but so what we're going to do today is we have actually taken time to explore some of those GPTs that are in ChatGPT. A GPT is a generative pre-trained transformer, and specifically we were looking at the ones related to education. So there's lots of GPTs out there, but for us today, we specifically looked at the ones that would be related to education. So the purpose of those GPTs is to help with creativity and productivity and engagement and efficiency and all those things. But know that there are a lot out there, but today we're looking at specifically a subset of ones related to education. So before we get started, I always like to give some housekeeping tips. You've heard me say these, but I like to reiterate them in case we've got new people or just as good reminders. So we are exploring all kinds of AI tools in our Tech Talk sessions. You will always hear us say, you need to protect your information. Don't ever put any of your personal identifiable information, your PII, into a tool. You also need to protect your students' information. So if you're using these tools with student information in there, make sure you take their PII as well. And as a reminder, we do not, on the recommendation of our TBR legal and technology and our IT teams, we do not recommend the use of third-party recording or transcription tools like Otter AI, Read AI, any of those tools. In fact, if you have them and they happen to pop in the meeting, we will very quietly kick them out in the background. And the reason for that is that you very carefully need to read both the privacy statements as well as the terms of service on those tools. Any of the embedded tools that we use, so you can use Copilot with your Microsoft account. If you have a Zoom account, there's some Zoom AI tools for meetings. Those are all covered in your account, and those are okay to use. It's the additional tools that come in that we recommend are not used. Additionally, I want to just make sure everybody knows we're recording this session. We will be putting it on our Bridging Minds and Machines resource site, but just so that everybody's aware, the session is recorded. I'll also be the guide on the side. If you happen to come off mute at an inopportune time, I'll be behind the scenes and be able to mute you because nobody wants to be that person in the room. So we're really glad to have you here today. We're excited to get started, and I'm going to turn it over to Jamie to talk a little bit about what exactly are these GPTs.
Thank you, Sarah. So as a collaborative, we are constantly thinking about working with scanning the landscape to find out what's going on in the world of AI tools. And so we were having a conversation a couple weeks ago, and we were like, okay, what about the GPTs that are in there? Have we looked at those in a while? So it had been a little bit since we had done some digging in that area. So we decided to, because we seem to be getting more and more questions around specific AI tools that are out there for use. And so if you get on the web and you look around, you'll quickly come up with all of these tools that people are selling for various reasons. And many of them are very expensive. So we started thinking about, okay, are there GPTs that are in existence in the GPT library within ChatGPT that we could access and use? Are they good? Are they thorough? Are they reliable? Are they consistent? So that's kind of the lens at which we've gone at this. So we divided it up, and we decided, okay, each one of us are going to go out there and pull out 2 GPTs that we found pretty impressive when we did some interacting with them. Know that there are many, many, many GPTs on the system. So when you get in there, you'll find a search mechanism where you can look under category or for a particular task or whatever it is you want to do. So as Sarah mentioned, we focused on the GPTs that had an education slant to them. And So when you get in there, you'll look around. If you go under the category of education, you'll see all of these GPTs start to be listed. Now, if you're looking at the library, it may have 8 or 10 GPTs on the screen in front of you. Make sure that you're hitting or click see more, and it will then pull up more and more. There are thousands of GPTs in here. So GPTs that we're looking at they may be designed and built by an individual, could be a teenager. They build a lot of GPTs. It could be a GPT that's designed and built by a company that has decided to move into this space. And so what you'll want to do is to do a little background, and we'll talk about that at the end in the tips section of looking at who has built the particular GPT that you're going to use. And so again, we're looking at the educational ones today. So some of the different GPTs that you'll see in there are lots of study helpers, and it goes all the way from various levels of education. You'll see it all the way from K-12 all the way through graduate school, lifelong learning. So you'll see study helpers out there. Those study helpers can also be for formal education, or it may be for informal education. So you'll see different flavors of those. There are many, many lesson planners. And again, these lesson planners can generate lesson plans for K-12 education, for higher levels of learning. Just however complex it is you want to go, you're going to find some tools out there. Content creators. So if you're generating content for a course, or for documentation that's in your office, or whatever you're doing on an academic campus, you'll find those content creator GPTs out there. Grading and feedback tools. So lots of those out there. I've seen several of these demonstrated. There are some very good ones. And I would like to just add, as we're touching on this right now, it brings something to mind. If you are evaluating these GPTs and you think as a department or an office, hey, would it be valuable for us to have our own GPT? Then look at GPTs that are designed for the content area that you're in, for the course that you're teaching, for the task that you're doing, such as grading and feedback, for an academic area or for an administrative area, sorry about that, and think about what is this GPT missing that I would want in mind, and you can get an idea. And that's really good to do through those grading and feedback. Also remember, always human in the loop on grading and feedback. We don't use any tech tools and simply run student work through it, and then that tool is making the decisions on the grading and feedback. Advising tools, there's some really good advising GPTs out there, and writing coaches. So lots of good things. These are both would be valuable to us as educators, administrators, and also to our students. You can interact with GPTs in 2 ways. So if I go on to ChatGPT, I can interact primarily with ChatGPT and have it then interact with an additional GPT that's built within the system. So I can say, hey, go access X GPT and let's do some collaborating back and forth. Or you can interact with the GPTs directly. So we've supplied the links to the GPTs that we're including in this presentation within the notes section of the presentation, and you'll get the link to that towards the end of the presentation. So we built the links in there for you. But again, the library is very easy to move through. Okay, so let's take a look at the first one. So Scholar GPT. Scholar GPT is a GPT that's designed just the way it sounds. And so if you've used Google Scholar, this one actually does tap into Google Scholar. It's much of the same kind of tool. And so you can use it as an AI-powered academic research assistant. So it's going to use tools, data analysis, critical reading strategies to help you streamline your scholarly work. It follows a scholarly conventions, formal tone, citations, evidence-based reasoning. It's very well designed, and is very, very good at going across multiple databases. So you'll need to play with it to see if it's going to reach the ones that you want. When you go to Scholar GPT, there is a review on the front page and a write-up explaining what exactly that it does access. It formats citations, APA, MLA, Chicago, etc. Assist with proposals, grants, syllabi, and feedback on writing and rubrics. and supports students in sourcing and shaping research questions. Also, you'll find in Scholar GPT, they have a new agent out there. And basically what the agent does is it scans the databases hourly and updates on the hour to bring in new links to literature. Then you can actually build a library in that GPT, and it will keep up with the links that you have. And so you're using the GPT and the agent to work for you to find the academic information, and then you can then save the documents that it finds to a library and organize them. So Scholar GPT is a really good one to use for your academic writing and research. Career Coach is another one that I tapped into that I just thought was just great. So this Career Coach will allow faculty, staff, or students to interact with a career coach. And it has a fun, playful personality. And you can write a resume from scratch, or you can have it review your resume. You can have it compare your resume to a job posting, or students do that. And it will then recommend courses or programs or certifications, all different kinds of things that it will do for you. It prepares users for interviews and networking, so you can ask it or instruct it to walk through an interview with you and take the role of the interviewer. It will give you networking pointers and social media networking pointers and help you through career transitions. So if you're strategizing or thinking or ideating about what it is that you want to do, it's a great collaborative partner in that way. It helps students in exploring majors, first jobs, or career pivots. And that's true for anyone, wherever you are in your career exploration. Can help faculty and staff with promotion materials or mentoring support. So play around with it in that way and see what kind of returns it gives you. And it makes job searches smarter, faster, and less stressful. So it has a lot of interaction and a high rating. So make sure that you're going to interact with Career Coach. You'll see several on there labeled Career Coach. So we provided the images for you so you can see what image is then connected to these particular GPTs. And I'm going to toss it on to the next GPT.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm going to introduce you to a couple of GPTs specifically related to working with open education resources, or OER. When we were planning this session, I was really excited to be able to have some time, dedicated time, to go back and explore the GPTs. It's been a while, honestly. You get into a rhythm of working with the tools and you forget about those other features. So I'm really thankful that we had this time to go back and dive in. And so I just did a quick search just using OER, or open education resources, and I found two. And I just want to walk you through my experiences. So this first one here is OER Tracker. And the purpose for this one is really to just organize and kind of use it like a search engine to identify open education resources aligned with whatever is your topic area. So for this one, I decided just to follow the provided prompt. When you look at these GPTs, they often have a few idea starters for you. And I thought, well, this will be a good way for me to just evaluate this one. So the first one, this one, I asked it to, let's see, it was search for English language audio OERs from any country. So I thought that was interesting that it was specifically looking at audio resources, which is not something that I usually am looking for. And then also it was looking at it from across the lens of all English language learners, not just those here in the United States. So I tested that one, ran that one through, and it gave me some resources. It introduced me to a site that was interesting, that it says it was open. But I think you only if you link to it. And so I wasn't that impressed with the initial look at this one because I didn't trust the open nature of what was coming back in the return of the response. And the best way to do that is just follow the links. Go back, go to the original site, go to the deep link that's in there, to whatever source that you're looking for, adopting for your course or for whatever is the project you're working on, and looking at it specifically to see what is the licensing. So this one, I think right now, from my experience, it looks a lot, it just feels and looks like a lot like just regular ChatGPT if I'm giving it some parameters to find open education resources, sources. And even with that case, if you're not using a GPT specifically, do follow the sources and verify the nature of those licenses and making sure that they're in alignment with whatever is your project. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. This next one blew me away. This is the AI OER assistant. And you'll notice on these two, actually, they're newer. This one is pretty new. It doesn't have a lot of conversations yet, but I'm using this time to kind of promote it. I was blown away by the design of this GPT. It is used, so I took a different tactic to explore this one. Rather than clicking on one of the provided prompts, I asked it, what kind of user would use this GPT? And it gave me back this response, which is what I put here in the purpose. And the key here is that these are faculty that are interested in interacting AI thoughtfully into their teaching in ways that are pedagogically valuable. I have a hard time with that word. And also with the idea of it being a resource that's adaptable for other instructors. So right away, I asked it for an example. And it said, oh, okay, I can give you an example. But first, let's talk about what content area or area of expertise would you like to develop your AI OER in? So right away, it put me into development mode. And every interaction with this GPT was a dialogue. So it asked me a question with every response. So at the end of the presentation, I've shared a link of my chat history with both of these, and you'll see that it is literally a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So at first I was a little frustrated because I was expecting it to develop and show me something. But then once I kind of sat back in my chair and was making the decisions it was asking me to do, then I saw the power of this GPT, that it was literally walking me through the design process where I was in the driver's seat. And it was my assistant or my coach in developing this AI activity is what I ended up developing. So I really highly encourage you to check that one out. And it could be as simple as an activity you want to put into your course for students to explore that connection and building that assistant relationship with GPT. In my case, you'll see it was an engagement where the students are evaluating an email and modifying it appropriate to whichever stakeholder it was for, whether it was internal to their work context or external. So really, really cool. I highly recommend that one. All right, so now I want to hand it over to Pari, and she'll talk about a couple more.
Thank you, Erin. So I rounded up some GPTs that I really liked for accessibility. And as faculty members, we are always trying to make sure things are accessible for our students. So for accessible images, I know we can put all our images in any kind of GAI and just ask them to do that. But these are GPTs specifically to generate the alt text for images. And they could be pretty complex images as well. And so because this is more specific, you get better results, right? Otherwise, you have to go back and forth, which you can still do here. But this will kind of cut down on that because it's specifically built for that. So the first one here, as you can see, is called an alt text generator assistant. And we can see some starter prompts here as well, where it will generate like 5 alt text options, or it will even guide you through, what guardrails or parameters can you provide to help with it, or a really brief, specific single short sentence. and or trying to pull out the subjects or the themes within an image, right? So you can, once you start playing with that GPT, you can do a lot of things with that one. The second one here is again created by a community builder and shared, which is what you can do as well. If you create your own GPTs, you can share it with the larger community. And it's called an image description specialist. And it will give you an alt text and a long description and like a text transcription as well. So I'm going to quickly share my screen to show you an example of this image description specialist of what it can do. And by the way, in our slides, if you look at the notes section for all our GPTs, we have links to the GPTs themselves within the notes section, which will share the presentation with you. Do you have to stop sharing, Jamie, for me to share or no? Not really.
Yes, you should be fine
Okay.
now.
Okay, great. So this is the image description specialist from the homepage. The homepage had this starter prompt already. So when I clicked on it, it came in here and it told me, yes, let me, do that a little bit so people can actually see. So it asked me to upload the image and it tells me what it will do for me, when I do that. So I uploaded this image. I want to kind of show you what it looks like. So you can see this is basically Erin just recently found this framework for higher education where it kind of tells us, how to be ethical in terms of using AI in higher education. So we can see there's a lot of text in here. And if I have to write the alt text from scratch, I would probably have to copy and paste, etc., stuff like that. So I quickly put that in here and said, give me, this is the image I want you to work with. So it came back with a really short, very brief description, all text for it, and that could work if this is part of a larger presentation and stuff like that. If this is what you are sort of instructing students on, though, you kind of want a longer description. And so it very quickly comes back and tells me everything that's what's in there, even the orientation of the infographic and what colors it's using, and then starts kind of listing out what each letter corresponds to and stuff like that. And so feel free to experiment with all the images or any images that you have in your courses, maybe sometimes, to see what it comes back with and start putting those alt text descriptions in there. It even is able to, at the bottom, it has a CC by NA, and so it pulls the attribution out and stuff like that as well. So really, really powerful, really quickly used, and there's a text transcription as well. In this case, it is kind of similar to what the long description is. Usually the long description is going to be your most longest description, right? And so at the bottom here, there is also an easy way to say this is a CC by NA license icon. So at this point, because I played with this image description specialist quite a bit, it told me that I cannot use it until after a certain amount of time. But that's your image description specialist. The next slide actually shows, if you can bring that up, Jamie, is for audio descriptions. And so let's see. There you go. Thank you. So in terms of accessible audio descriptions, this particular GPT is very powerful, very friendly in adding inclusive audio description. And so it could be used for educational purposes, but also think of the people who are you digital media or social media specialists, and you want a description of the social media image. So you not only want a text description, but for people who are visually struggling to read the description or just visually challenged, you want an audio description of the image. And so you could have the visuals of the image described, you could have the whole scene described, you could ask, what does this image show? Or what is the person doing in this image, that kind of stuff. So one thing you want to do here is you may want to put some guardrails in there. So of course, these are the starter prompts, but you can add your own things to those prompts or own guardrails. And you want to say, avoid any assumptions or stay neutral when you describe this image. So trying to cut down on some of the bias that may come. And it may not be there, but if you give this beforehand to the GPTs or any kind of GPTs, then it will do the inclusiveness, for you already. You may also want to give specific constraints like, give me a description which is this length, like no more than 2 minutes, or, it shouldn't be this complex, or describe this, or give me the audio description based on the audience level, vocabulary level, their age, that kind of stuff as well. So any kind of those kind of guardrails that you give it, you're going to get a better result out of that. And this can be an iterative process, but you can also like start it beforehand. So those are my 2 areas to make stuff more accessible. I will hand it back. I will hand it to Sarah.
Okay, so I tried out this first one. I tried out intentionally because I asked ChatGPT to give me a list of the top GPTs for higher ed, and this one was listed as one that had CBE principles as a driver for it. And for those of you that don't know, we're also part of the CBE team that helps develop competency-based programs across the state. And so I'm always interested in anything CBE, and where I can combine CBE and AI, I'm always going to go check it out. So this one had mentioned that it had some CBE-based principles. So the description or the purpose of this was to guide users through a step-by-step process, designing outcome-driven courses, and it provides a summary table. So I actually tried 2 different types of courses with this because we work in both spaces. So I asked it to help me develop a growth mindset course for workforce. And I also asked it to help me develop, and this is the prompt I gave you as an example, to develop a leadership course as part of an AS in management. And I asked it to give me the course outline, include 5 competencies, an assessment strategy, recommendations, the learning journey, and that it was a 15-week course. So here are some things that I liked about this. So this is one of those things, and both mine I'm actually going to say, remember in the beginning where Jamie said you always have to have a human in the loop? Both of these that I've tried it's really important to have a human in the loop. What I found, and I'm going to show you in a minute, is that where this gets you is it's a great brainstorming tool to get you started in the course development process. One of the values, and I'm going to show you in just a second, one of the value adds was the summary table. In my experience with this leadership course, it was interesting to see, and I actually took it a step farther and asked it for a lesson plan. So Jamie, I'm actually going to see if I can steal the screen and share. Okay. Can you all give me a minute and let me see? You all got that? Okay. So I asked this Course Designer Pro to give me my leadership course. And it gave me a course overview. It gave me a course title, undergraduate associate in science, 15 weeks, 3 credits. Delivery mode could be in-person, hybrid, or fully online. So I appreciated the detail. It gave me a course learning journey. It gave me my North Star goal. It gave me some core competencies. Those actually aren't great competencies. I'll be honest with you. If I was writing competencies, that's not how I would write them, but it's a place to start. And then it gave me some assessment recommendations. And then this is the summary table they were talking about. So it gives you 15 weeks of topic description, pre-session activities, which was kind of interesting. And then I asked it to take it a step further and build out a lesson plan and syllabus. And so when I did that, it actually gave me a PDF that I could produce with a syllabus, with a course description. It gave me weekly lesson plans, some examples. So I appreciated where this could get me started. Now, this will also let you take it deeper. So at the end, it's asking me, do you want me to help you create slide decks? Do you want me to help you create reading guides and assessment rubrics and printable syllabus? I think this would be very helpful to get you started. The level of detail was maybe not where I would want it to be. I've actually gotten better levels of detail out of just iterating within ChatGPT itself or within Gemini itself on course development. But it does have some good solid principles to get you started. So this is the Course Design Pro. And Jamie, if you want to flip back to the slide deck.
Okay.
So this was Course Designer Pro. I think it could be helpful to get you started. What I will say on that Course Designer Pro is I think the value add was giving you the example outline and maybe the summary table. I think that there's some tools that could do better in terms of the development or helping you think through that or giving you some ideas. But it is a good place to start. I think you would still need to have your instructional designer or a partner help you to fully develop any kind of course. Even when I was working with the growth mindset course, it was not where I would want it to be for a workforce course either. So Course Designer Pro has some good pluses, but it is not going to be something that you're probably going to want to use all the way through to, like, you couldn't take it and then just run off and think you have a course. So it's a place to get started. The other one I tried intentionally because it told me it was an AI content detector. And everybody always asks us, how can we prove how do we know whether it's AI or not AI? And this one told me, this is the description from the developer, was that it is an AI content detector. It's a sophisticated AI tool designed to identify and analyze text generated by artificial intelligence. It helps maintain authenticity and integrity in writing by distinguishing between AI-generated and human-created content. So, first of all, if you are a free user of ChatGPT, I'm going to give you a little bit of and Pari mentioned this, right? These GPTs, still, if you want an unlimited access, you still have to get a pro account. This let me do about 1.5 papers and then cut me off for 24 hours before I could put anything else in. So what I did, I actually tried 2 different things. So I took a prompt out of a sociology class and I put it into ChatGPT. I put all the instructions and said, write my paper for me. Write a response to this. And it did. And I exported that out into Word. I cleaned it up a little bit. I took the lines out that you get in ChatGPT. I changed the font from bold to just all non-bolded font. I saved it. I went into the AI content detector and uploaded it. So what I just told you is I have a 100% AI content generated paper that I did literally 1.5 minutes before I stuck it into this AI content detector. The AI content detector did come back and tell me that it was AI, that there was the potential for AI generation, but it was probably 70, maybe 80% AI, when the reality was that paper was 100% AI. So, and I did test it with something else I had written. And it also, the results, it was something I had written. It was an original piece, but it actually came back and said that the potential for the use of AI was about 10 to 20%, and there had been no AI in it. So we always caution you, right? There is no good 100% accurate AI detector. And that's for a lot of reasons. But I tested this one intentionally because I want to make sure that we understand when you're looking at the GPTs, and we're going to go in a minute and show you how to look at GPTs and how to look for that. We have enough time that we can go show that. But here's the thing. Not all GPTs are going to be helpful. Not all GPTs are going to be accurate. You still have to keep your intelligence and your human intelligence and discernment and critical thinking in the loop, because they are only as good as the developer that created them. And in this case, this AI content detector is not a tool that I would use just in the testing I did, because it's not actually accurate, which is very common with AI detection tools. But in this case, it's a great example of where testing your GPTs before you use them is a really good habit and practice to start. Give it some test things so that you really understand the limitations. of the tool that you're using. Remember, any of these GPTs are just a tool, and tools have good things and they also have limitations. So make sure that you're taking the time to test them so that you really understand where those limitations are, so that you can use these tools effectively to help you increase productivity and efficiency and brainstorming some really cool new ideas. But this is one that I intentionally picked up to test because I thought, this sounds like it's this great tool. Well, it turns out it's really not super helpful. So, and it also gave us a chance to have a conversation about making sure you have a really solid example of making sure you have a human in the loop and really finding ways to test these GPTs as you're starting to explore them for your own use.
Okay, we're going to talk briefly about tips on selecting GPTs, and then we'll jump over and actually take a look in the GPT library, and so you can see how to go find some background information on these various tools. So in just a moment, we'll take a look at the screen, the initial screen into where the GPTs are located. So you'll see there a browse and filter. And so you can type in keywords if you're looking for a particular area. You can click on the categories. We'll take a look at that in just a moment and just drill down to see what you can find. You want to verify the creator. Who made this tool that I am using? And so in just a moment, we'll also take a look and see where you can look for this information to verify and find out who the builder's credentials are. And links that they have. And I always do that process of just clicking through to understand who generated that GPT. And I have found, like in the example of Scholar GPT, the company that built and designed and built that GPT has several that they have. So it's a good way to also discover what other tools, particularly if you have one that you really like, and think, are there other tools this company has built that might go along or might complement the tool that I'm using? You want to read feedback, and that's reviews. And we live in the world of reviews now, right? So you want to make sure that you're looking at how many users, how many people have had conversations with a tool. What are they saying about those conversations? And that speaks to typically quality, right? So it's like anything else that we're reading reviews online, we're typically trying to gauge what's the quality of this tool that I'm accessing. So you want to make sure that you're looking at what other people have said about that tool. You want to check check privacy, review each GPT's data and privacy details, and avoid sharing PII. And so we talk a lot about looking at privacy statements, terms of service, etc. And so one of the things that I do, a tip that I do now, is I interact with ChatGPT and I ask it about the privacy of various tech tools, or I'll even copy and paste a privacy statement into ChatGPT and tell it to summarize and tell me the things that I need to be concerned about and give me the area of the document or website where they found it. So I'm using ChatGPT to help me drill down on the privacy information, but you always want to make sure that you're checking that about your GPTs, and you can, in fact, have a conversation with ChatGPT about the privacy of various GPTs. You want to test it first. So you want to play around with it. And I know my teammates will probably say the same thing. It doesn't take very long. It's like having a conversation with someone. You know pretty quickly if that conversation is going somewhere that you want it to go, or if it is not. And so I've played around with several of these. If you're using the free version of ChatGPT, you're going to hit a wall where it's going to say you've hit your limit on GPTs, and we need to probably query that and find out how many there are. It can be different depending on what you're interacting with on a GPT as well. But I did hit a wall on my paid account because I was just going into multiple ones pretty quickly and looking around at what they had. So play around and see what you like about it and if the conversation needs to continue or not. And as I mentioned, when we talked about the career coach, a lot of GPTs have the exact same name, career coach. It's very common. And so if you're searching a GPT by a name, just know that it may pull up several, especially if it's kind of a generic name, of which you'll see a lot of in GPT generation. Stay updated, favorite GPTs with recent updates and active maintainer responses. Some of these GPTs, someone will spin them up and walk away, and they don't come back and keep it updated or keep information flowing into it or whatever they're doing with it. So make sure that it's a GPT that someone's giving their time and attention to if you want to keep on using that GPT. And just the same with the conversation gauging, it's pretty easy to see quickly if you've got a GPT that the creator is giving a lot of attention to and keeping up with. You'll get a feel for that really quickly. Okay, so what I'd like to do is jump out and take a look at, and you'll please let me know if you can still see my screen adjusting. Do you guys see that screen adjusting?
Yes.
Okay, do you see Chat GPT in front of you now?
Not yet.
Okay.
You see the presentation, yeah.
Okay, so let me do a stop sharing. And then I'm going to reshare. Okay. Okay. Yep. So we are, of course, at the front door of ChatGPT, and I'm in the free version. And so what I'm going to do is over here on the left-hand navigation bar, I'm going to click on this little icon that says GPTs, and it's going to take us into the GPT screen. And so when we talk about categories, this is what we are talking about here. So it's chunked out to different categories that you can click on and drill down in. So you'll see writing, productivity, research analysis, education, lifestyle, DALI, and programming, and top picks is there. And so I'm going to jump to education. And so what you'll see under education is a brief listing of GPTs here. So if I click see more, then that's going to just start to expand. These are not the only GPTs that are in the education category. OpenAI does this. It seems to me the feel of it is when I'm looking at these GPT categories that they're somewhat limited, but there will be other GPTs down in there, and it adjusts every time I come in and look at it. It looks a little different. But the ones that are typically have a high level of interactivity, you'll see pretty consistently on the front screen. And so there are some really good ones in here. So that's just a little bit about the categories, or I could search by a particular name. So I'm going to take a look. I'm going to look up. So if I'm going to look up Wolfram, so I can search by Wolfram and it's going to go find that one for me. So when you see these different, see Wolfram falls under education as well, but it wasn't on that brief list back here that showed up. But I can start to see all kinds of different GPTs that exist back in the system. They just don't show them very well on that front end. One thing I found fascinating about Wolfram, I used to use Wolfram Alpha when I was teaching programming courses, and it's expensive. So it was kind of unduly expensive for students to be able to use in class. And this brings up another plus I feel about these GPTs is if you're using or thinking about using software in your courses, get in here and look around and see if there is a GPT that's built on that software that students can use that may have no cost to it, and that they can get information and interact with. So lots of the companies who have software out there, Canva, lots of them are building GPTs because they see the value and the connectivity that students and instructors and faculty, staff are all using ChatGPT in the educational process, and this is a way for them to get into that process with OpenAI. So again, this one is a really good one. I've played around with it. It does great, and the alternative is a very expensive piece of software. So take a look around and see if there's something in here that's useful for your course or for your administrative area. So I'm just going to click real quickly, since I spent last week with an advising group and we talked about constructing an advising GPT. If I just look up advising, I'm going to see all kinds of things in here. Let's do college. I should have been a little bit more specific on that. And I'll see it comes up, but it's just showing me 3. There are many more in here other than that. So if I'm an advising office, let's say, and I'm thinking about, wow, would it be neat for us to have an advising GPT at our school? I'm going to come in here and look around and see what these advising GPTs do. So I'm not trying to ideate from scratch of what a GPT can do. And so same thing with your course. If you are thinking about how could I use a GPT for my course, come in here, find a GPT that may be in your exact course content area or something similar. Am I thinking about doing a grading GPT? Come in here and access a GPT and look at that GPT, interact with it, get a feel for what it can and cannot do. And that will help you if you're thinking about constructing a GPT or having your students build one. That would be a fantastic process. I've done it. It's not complicated. If you are building a GPT for public-facing information that's out on the web, it's really super simple. If there's things you want to go into one that's not out on the web, you just simply upload the files and train the GPT. So dig around in here, look around, see what's here, see what's available, see if there's something that will supplement your course material. But again, as my teammates have said, keep the human in the loop. Make sure that you're staying active with that GPT to see what it's actually giving output, just like we do with ChatGPT. Always validate, right? Validate, fact check, all those good things. And so come in here and play around with it. If you add GPTs and you start using them, you'll see them start to build over here in your navigation bar. And so you'll be able to then go back to them very quickly and easily for access. Okay, I'm going to jump back up here. Okay, so we are rolling out the AI Learning Collaborative Communities of Practice. And so this is something we've been thinking about and working on for a good while. And this is a way for us to engage with all of our stakeholders in the system and add another level of learning to what we are doing around the AI Learning Collaborative. And so what we aim to do over the next several months is to roll out the beginning of the communities of practice. And so the way that we've got this designed is we want to have various work groups that come together as a community of practice to foster collaboration by bringing individuals with shared common professional roles, interests, or goals around AI implementation and teaching and learning in our daily work. And so we have set up the master list of the different communities of practice. So that's what you see in front of you. So we envision that the academic leadership and institutional effectiveness folks will have particular things they want to learn and do around AI tools. Instructional support, faculty development, same thing. Then we have the discipline-specific faculty that will break out. We have academic learning and support. We have student services and engagement, technology and infrastructure, workforce industry, and strategic programs. So the way that we see this happening is we want to develop out a couple of the communities and get them going and get them up and moving and smooth out our process, if you will. And then we'll start to develop more of the communities as we go. What we are going to do is we have posted an application for you. If you are interested in participating in the community of practice, we have an application built on our Bridging Minds and Machines website. On that website, on the navigation bar, you're going to see Community of Practice. When you click that link, there is an application there for you. Complete that application. You will see these different groups on that application. Designate the one where you fit and you want to come into. We are going to take the responses from the applications that we get, and we're going to determine the top 3 groups that have the most interest now. And we'll be reaching out to those folks. We'll reach out to everyone who fills an application out and let them know, okay, you're in one of these first groups that we're going to develop and get going in our community of practice. And so then we'll go from there. And then what we envision is that individuals will stay in various communities for X amount of time. We want our communities to also help us make some of these decisions. And then you'll roll out of that community. If you want to go into another one, fine. Or if you say, okay, I'm good, I'm going to not do a community of practice for a while, that's fine as well. Suggest if you have other colleagues who might be interested in this and they're not on the call today, let them know. And so the link will be in the presentation that one of my teammates will share, and you can get to that Bridging Minds and Machines. Make sure that you fill out this community of practice. There's some questions in there about what it is you are interested in learning. What are you doing now with AI? You don't have to be doing anything with AI to be a community of practice. Don't feel like we have a prerequisite. We just want your interest. That's what we're asking for. So enthusiasm and interest. And so what we aim to do is to then take our collaborative, build out these communities where we're having various conversations, consistent conversations, deep conversations, that then feed into the development of these various areas that we have built out in our communities. So if you are interested also in those, but you have more questions, on the screen in front of you, you'll see our email for questions and requests, aillearning@tbr.edu. Make sure that you reach out there. We'll answer any additional questions that you have. We love having interaction with you. If you have questions, if you want to talk about something you want to do in your course or your job role, or you just want to talk about AI, that's fine. Or you have questions about a particular GPT, just reach out to us and we're here for you. We hope to see you in our community of practice. And I'm going to hand it back over to Sarah so she can finish us up for today.
Sure. So there was a question in the chat that is asking the difference between different discipline-specific faculty and academic and learning support.
So the academic and learning support, the instructional designers, those folks who perform support roles for the classroom, and you're not direct instruction, but now we also know some people wear multiple hats, right? And sometimes more than multiple. So if that is your experience, then choose the community where you want to plug into. So we have a lot of folks around the system. So that is what we're talking about, Sarah, are those people who perform the function of supporting instruction.
Perfect. We have put in the chat the link to the Communities of Practice Interest Forum. We've put in the link to the Bridging Minds and Machines. And we are going to put in the chat the link to register for our July Tech Talk Tuesday. That will be July 8th. I will also let you know that we will not be having Tech Talk Tuesday in August. So July will finish out season 2 of Tech Talk Tuesday. And we will be back in September for more Tech Talk Tuesday. But we want to thank you all for taking time to join us today. We're always excited to have you here. If you have questions, you can reach out to us at ailearning@tbr.edu, and we are always happy to answer questions, help customize training, and support you in the ways that we can as part of the AI Learning Collaborative. So thank you so much for your time today. We are going to stick around for just a couple minutes if you have questions. We do have another meeting at the top of the hour, so we will have to jump, but we will hang out for a minute or two and see if you have other questions. Otherwise, thank you all so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time and your commitment to showing up and learning with us. Have an amazing rest of your afternoon.